Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be friend zoned. She said I was too much for her. Well, I've got an email here from a guy who we met a woman about a year ago, and he was in a relationship with somebody else. She was in a relationship. She had a boyfriend, and I guess they stayed in touch, and then ended up running into each other again earlier this year before, during, and after the lockdown things. And it's obvious that she was really into him. And so she flew in, they spent a day together, flew out. She's like, before she left, she's like, hey, we should get together. You should come visit me and stay for a week. You get an invitation like that, it's like, hey, it sounds pretty good. So he flies in, and things quickly go downhill. So, I mean, there's just a lot of little moments in this email where it's like everything's there in a silver platter and he just fumbles the football. That's why it's so important. I talk about reading 3% Man, my first book, reading it 10 to 15 times, because you miss the little subtle cues of when she's really into it, when she's really feeling it, when to move forward, when to back off. And obviously you miss those cues. And like in this case, this guy just kept continually missing them. And obviously she came to recognize that he didn't know what he was doing. And then obviously she got turned off. So I got a quote that I wrote, and then we'll jump into this guy's email. It's a good email, good back and forth, lots of detail. So you can really see what he did wrong. Because obviously this girl she definitely had high interest in him. But it's the agony of defeat. So the quote says, women are attracted to men who know what they want and who go for it without hesitation or being held back by fear. They are repulsed and turned off by guys who are too timid, risk-averse, indecisive, and who don't seem to know how to be the romantic leader. Men who understand women create fun-filled romantic opportunities that allow women to feel safe and comfortable to slowly open up to the possibility of an escalation of physical intimacy. Smart men know when to move forward and when to back off. Guys who don't know any better miss attraction and intimacy cues, and eventually, when women figure this out, get friend-zoned or blown off and ghosted. Not a place where you want to be, so let's see what we can do to avoid that. So he says, hey, Coach Corey, I met this beautiful lady in North Carolina during a work conference in May of 2019. We had lunch then, but that was it. She was in a relationship with someone, and I was too. We didn't talk or chat the entire time, but fast forward to May 2020, and we coincidentally became single. What a coinky-dink. Since we live in different states, I live in Chicago, she lives in Raleigh, North Carolina, and during the height of COVID, we couldn't really meet in person, but we communicated quite a lot. Yeah, don't get me started on these lockdowns. All I can say is I'm glad I live in Florida, and the rest of the people in California and Michigan with these commie mayors and governors. Jesus, man. You can't legally lock people down, force them to shut their businesses, and then not write the check for it and force people to go bankrupt because you're saving lives? I mean, have you guys seen the restaurants? You can't have indoor dining, but you can have outdoor dining. And people are basically building restaurants out in the sidewalk with roofs and walls. It's like, this is nuts. Absolutely nuts. It just shows that most of our leaders are absolute morons. Anyways, back to our regularly scheduled email here. She actually initiated, decided to spend a day in Nashville, where I was catching a flight the next day to Chicago from a family trip. I was impressed that she'd fly in to spend time, even if it was just for a day. Definitely shows she's got high interest. A woman who's like, she's not going to bother flying in to see you. So sounds like a good candidate, good opportunity, got high interest, got all the things that you're looking for to make a nice, beautiful, romantic memory. Prior to flying in, she said she wasn't comfortable staying in the same room, especially since it's our first time meeting in a year, which I understood and agreed. We spent the day together, had lunch, hung out a bit around town, and then dinner. We kicked it till the morning, but nothing physical happened. Come on, man. That's the problem. See, you hang out with a woman all this time, and she could tell you like her. They're not. I mean, she flew in to see you. She literally offered herself in a silver platter to you, and then you don't make a move. She's gonna think maybe this guy's gay, maybe he doesn't like me, but usually they figure out he just doesn't know what he's doing. He has no game, and they don't want to teach you. They want to be swept off their feet. They want to get caught up in a love story. They want to be carried away. It just happened. Bad way to go, my friend. He says, anyways, we flew back to our respective cities the next day, and as soon as I arrived, she asked to plan a trip for my birthday for us to celebrate and connect more. She's got really high interest, so even still, she's going to give you another chance. We settled on a weekend trip in Asheville, and she also asked that I spend the week at her place. That's like T-ball, man. You can't even get a base hit with T-ball? Come on, dude. Come on, man. It's brutal. She almost always was the one contacting me. So far, so good. I reciprocated with the same energy, but not going overboard. She was overly excited about the trip and my birthday, but I was a bit cautious as this high might drop flat on its face. Well, I was right. The only reason you could screw something, you could fuck something up like that is you don't know what to do. And so this is what's great about this email is that you see this woman's got really high interest in this guy, and yet he had a great opportunity, didn't do anything. And so you can make a lot of mistakes, a lot more mistakes, I should say, with a woman that has high interest versus a woman that has really low interest, or just barely enough to where she's like, I'll give him a chance. We'll see if I like him or not. I'll see what happens. Fast forward to mid-September. I flew into town on a Thursday. She had this amazing birthday gift package. Again, she's buying you gifts. She really likes you, at least at this point. But I guess I was too much of a gentleman that night, being the first night at her place by not doing anything physical. Gotta have to get another come on man for that. Come on, man. Jesus. So sad. But then again, when I see things like this, I remember I get flashbacks to my late teenage years, my early 20s. I was like, God, so obvious. But I had no idea. I realized she got a bedroom with 2 beds. 2. I didn't make a big deal, but I found that weird. That's indication that her interest is going. Later that evening, she called me to the balcony. Uh-oh. Off to the principal's office you go. And told me she felt overwhelmed and it felt like too much for her. She said she had been feeling like that for days prior to my arrival. She was just hoping to get her insides rearranged. She was hoping that you were just beat up her pelvis and fuck her brains out. And instead, she's going, I have to tell this guy what to do? It's like, I got to be the leader? He says, I told her I understood, but not to overthink things. Instead, she should let go and enjoy the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, which we had activities planned. So that just means she ain't feeling the right kind of emotions that you want her to feel. The next day, we went hiking, and after we got back to the room, I stepped out briefly to get flowers. Come on, man. You buy flowers for your girlfriend or your wife, not girl I don't even know if you kissed this girl yet. And put some final, beautiful touches to our date that night. Oh, that's so nice. When I got back, we were both kicking it, and she asked if I saw myself in a relationship with her. I responded by saying, yes! She then said she wasn't ready to be in a relationship. That, my friends, is what we call a loaded question. If I saw myself in a relationship with her, it was like, Well, we haven't even kissed yet, so you can bring your cute little lips over here and kiss me, and maybe we can talk about it, but that's kind of a big rush. He was thinking, oh, this is my big opportunity. This is my big moment. She then said she wasn't ready to be in a relationship, and I told her I didn't expect a relationship now, especially since we're just trying to get to know each other. But in the future, yeah. Well, that didn't help much. Yeah, because the damage is kind of. She said didn't see such. I was so shocked but kept my cool. So in other words, what's going on there is she's recognizing that you're at least at that point you're way more into her than she is into you, and she's thinking, "Wow, if I friend zone this guy, is he gonna be upset? Is it gonna crush his ego? I don't want to hurt his feelings. I don't want to hurt his feelings." Anyways, we went to the scheduled dinner, which she enjoyed, but nothing happened afterwards. I was comfortable that night, and by morning I told her, oh, I was uncomfortable that night, and by morning I told her I wasn't comfortable being in a situation where she wasn't ready to open up, and not just friends. It's almost like saying, how come you didn't have sex with me yet? She was right on the silver platter. Did you even read the book? Did you even read 3% Man? It's free at understandrelationships.com. All you got to do is subscribe to the email newsletter. And you can read my second book, Mastering Yourself, for free, a book of self-reliance, which I highly encourage. He says, we had scheduled a trip to the local farmer's market, but ended up driving back to her place about 4 hours away. On the ride back, so it sounds like you spent a lot of money getting hotel rooms. Well, actually, I guess she booked a hotel room, but with 2 beds. That's not a good sign. On the ride back, she asked, so confession. I remember back when I was younger and dumber, I remember I was on a date with this girl, and we had gone somewhere, and I got in this hotel, and I had 2 beds. And I remember looking at her saying, I didn't want to be presumptuous. I didn't get laid on that trip. I did later on, though. A while later, I finally figured it out. But I have plenty of facepalm moments in my history. So I could sympathize, but I'm still going to break your balls. Because it's like T-ball. She was right there, bro. Right there. Just for the taking. On the ride back, she asked what I was going to do. I said I was going to schedule a trip back to Chicago. In other words, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. When we arrived at her place, I asked her if I did anything specifically wrong. Yeah, like you're going to get a straight answer to that question. But she said nope, but that she wanted a platonic situation. Because again, she doesn't want to hurt your feelings because she doesn't think your ego can handle it. We chatted a bit. I went to sleep and flew back home the next morning. She texted me later saying she was sorry how our weekend and week was cut short and how it was different for her to invite someone she never really saw often to her place for that long. Again, she's trying to give you things that to a logically brained man go, oh yeah, that sounds totally legit. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it makes sense. Oh yeah. Besides, she made up her mind based on I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. Based on what God told her and how her spirit felt. So in other words, what it really is her feelings went, her interest dropped. But again, she's trying to say, it's the Lord's fault that we're not together. Has nothing to do with the fact that you didn't seduce me when I was ready to be seduced. He says, I was still in awe as to how 72 hours ago, and even before I showed up, she was all over me, but how quick she just dropped. If you hesitate, you will masturbate, my young Padawan. Since September to now, early November, our conversation has dwindled, even though she still texts me every day and almost always calls midday and before bed. Oh, goody. At 11:30 p.m., as she used to, and I still dutifully obliged. Come on, man. Jesus, have some self-respect. But as I stated in the beginning, I've given the friendly friend zone its fair share, but no longer comfortable with it as I'm still attracted to her. So it sounds like you are accepting being stuck in the friend zone and continuing to be her emotional tampon. That doesn't work. He says, please give your brutal take on this situation, your opinion on how I can get out of this zone and receive more of what I want from her or any lady moving forward. Well, obviously read the book 10 to 15 times and you got to apply it. You can't apply and go, geez, I'm too afraid to do it. I'm too afraid to upset her. I don't want her to be upset with me. So I would never call her, text her again for any reason. Take your time to respond back to her. Go out on a date with somebody else and call her back the next day or whatever she calls you. And then she's like, where were you? I was like, oh, I was on a date. He's like, well, how'd it go? I was like, gentlemen, don't kiss and tell. It's like, are you jealous? Maybe you should fly into town and come see me and make me a nice home-cooked meal, and maybe I'll give you another shot. But at this point, I have her fly to see you, dude. It's like, hey, why don't you come see me? Well, figure it out. Book a ticket. Send me an itinerary. She'll either do it or she won't. If she likes you, she'll book a flight. And if she won't, she'll be like, I'd be following exactly what is in 7 Principles to get an ex back. I wouldn't call her. I wouldn't text her. I'd respond to her messages. I'd ask her 2 consecutive times in a row when she reaches out to you first to come see you, and she says no, I got to check my schedule, and then say, a day or 2 later she reaches out again, try to, hey, what'd you figure out your schedule? And she gives you the, oh, I just wanted to talk and see how you were doing. It's like, oh, well, I am about to go to bed, I'm about to run out. Great hearing from you. Figure out your schedule and get in touch. And then after that, 2 to 3 text replies max. Hey, I got to run. Great hearing from you. If it's a phone call, hey, it's great hearing your voice. I got to run. See you later. Bye. Never bring up getting together again, and 1 or 2 things will happen. She'll either bring up coming to see you again. It's still a possibility because she's still reaching out every day. Still a possibility. Slim one, but if a woman is chasing you, she's not dumping you or blowing you off. So there still is some sliver of hope that she'll hop on a plane and come see you, but damn, dude, it's like she was right on a silver platter. That's what I would do if I were you. Again, get familiar with 7 Principles, get an ex back, and most importantly, read 3% Man. It's free at understandrelationships.com. And if you're in a similar situation and you're scratching your head going, man, how do I get out of this mess? Go to understandrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.